Hello and welcome to My Security TV and our Tuesday afternoon session on our Tech and Sec Weekly. Today we're going to be joined by Drago, I'm going to practice his name, I was trying before, Gvozdanovic, and I'll get him to explain that for us as well in terms of his background. But he is the Chief Executive Officer with Cynterra based in Canberra. And our only guest today, but they've just won a major contract with DTA to deploy a secure internet gateway. So Cynterra are specialists in providing these secure internet gateways, and it sounds like a very interesting form of networking and cloud computing. Now, Drago, I'm going to try one more time before I bring you on. Gvozdanovic, and hopefully that's got it right, Chief Executive Officer with Cynterra in Canberra. Drago, thanks for joining us.
Chris, thanks for having me. You did so well before we went live.
I know. And then once I'm live, I'm going, oh my God, I should have practiced just before. So how do we say this wonderful name again?
Gvozdanovic.
Gvozdanovic, beautiful. Look, with a surname like Cabbage, mate, you've got to make sure you get people's surnames correctly. Otherwise, it's cabbage for me. But yeah, so look, thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to get rid of that slide up there and we're going to dive into secure internet gateways, and you've just won a major contract with the DTA, and that was the headline really at the to sort of spur the interview. Maybe talk us through the background to Cynterra and the sort of the impact that this contract will have on you as a company.
Well, Cynterra was founded by like-minded individuals, all of us with strong IT and security background. And we were looking to do something different. We've all hit points in our lives where we just want to leave the normal grind and try something else.
Yeah.
And we were playing around with a lot of notional ideas. And initially we were thinking from our experiences that the current offerings of the gateways weren't the best. We don't think that the experience for the customers is the best, and they're very limited in choice. And so we started looking at the idea of building our own physical gateway, just like you can buy from the larger companies at the moment. Being just recently, like no major backing or anything like that, we've soon discovered that financial disincentives were the problem for us there, because in order to even just develop a platform, you needed so much investment just to buy compute and try things, licensing and things like that. And then that's where the conversation and the ideas shifted to looking at cloud. None of us were huge cloud devotees at the time. We started having a look, and then, yeah, we started developing on the cloud, and we found that we were able to get through each problem there was a solution. And so something that we thought originally was not so feasible and easy did certainly become feasible. And we ended up achieving an Irap assessment in 2018. We achieved up to the government protected level before AWS actually achieved their protected level.
Yeah, you would have been one of the first ones, I would imagine.
We were the first. We know that we were the first to do a secure internet gateway in the cloud, in Australia anyway. We're not aware of anyone else doing it. And yeah, and surprisingly, one of the most compliant, cloud being providing so many avenues to secure a platform that in the old ISM, you could be ranked by percentages. We achieved 97% compliance, which is very high with the amount of controls. So cloud certainly became a viable option for this type of area. So you can imagine a traditional hardware-based gateway, you have to order some compute, you have to have a data service, there's inevitably a data center, minimum of 2. All those things have lead times, they have commitments, and yeah, and the amount of effort to get them done. It takes months, if not years, to complete such projects, with lots and lots of dollars required up front to get it going. Our gateways are generated by code. We've done tests. We can deploy a full gateway from our templates within 40 minutes. So it just shows you how versatile a cloud adoption can be. And so it's been getting better and better since, because cloud is getting better and more things are available. And yeah, that's where we are. We've got a unique.
And so you're not in a particular platform like AWS or Azure. You sit out on your own.
We built our first platform, AWS.
Right.
We have developed the same platform and customized it to Azure. And we also, our plan is to have the same platform available on Google Cloud. Our goal is that our gateways can utilize all the cloud providers, or be moved depending on whatever reason a customer or we may have to move a gateway. The other thing which we developed from the start was the ability where all of those environments report back to a single portal. So a customer can get an overview of what's going on in their complete environment, including their own on-premise environment, through one portal, and that's what we're finding is particularly attractive.
And I noticed that the terminology on new generation secure internet gateways, not next generation. Is there a difference in that? Am I just reading that too much into that? New and next gen versus new generation?
Look, I think next generation gateways is a take from the next generation firewalls. So in the early days, firewalls were not that savvy. They would do packet like access list type controls. They had limited inspection. These days, next generation firewalls offer complete inspection of flows and can check for AV. And there's just so many things they can check for and help mitigate and protect an organisation from malicious intent. But cloud, putting a gateway on the cloud, we do believe is next generation. It is different again, because all of a sudden you're not just stuck with a server, a firewall, providing you a perimeter to your network. You've got a whole cloud environment and all those services which are developed and added to constantly, available to you at your discretion and secured through the same one firewall. And
to be a user, do you need to be cloud native as well? Can you have that hybrid on-prem? But it sounds like you can have a multi-cloud environment and have different gateways operating for each one.
Our gateways are provided as a managed service. You don't have to have any cloud knowledge, because that's what we're providing you. We're providing you an ingress into cloud and hybrid type topologies, and helping you develop what's best for you as a customer. So that's where we come in. It's easy for anyone to set up a cloud environment and start running things from the cloud, but no matter how simple they make it, it's not simple to understand the ramifications of what you're turning on. So that's where we come in. We give you a high baseline to start with, and we explain, we go through and we develop what your requirements are and how to best apply them. And then from there, you can adapt the environment to suit your needs.
And is there what's the immediate benefits, or the range of benefits, I'd imagine, going down this path? You already touched on speed of deployment and setup. That obviously has some cost benefits as well. Is it more secure? Where's some of the key benefits on going down this path?
One of the architectures that we are advocating strongly, because we have the flexibility to provide it, is that we no longer traditionally gateways have been a what would you say, a consolidated infrastructure requirement of a corporation. They'll normally have a primary site and a secondary site, but all of your traffic is technically served through the one front door. With our application and our architecture, we're recommending multiple gateways. No longer have one gateway to do all your business, but multiple gateways, providing you different environments to be just protected by a gateway to the requirements that they require and nothing else. That approach not only takes away risk from other environments, but it also becomes fault isolation and and reduces the attack surface of different environments depending on what your needs are. So to give you an example, a lot of medium to large corporations, even smaller ones, they'll have developer networks or developers. Developers, in order to innovate, need a high degree of freedom normally. They can't be tied down by not being able to access resources or code or ideas or collaborate and things like that. But mixing a developer environment and a production network doesn't always go very well. Some requirements of a firewall just for developers opens up too many vulnerabilities to other systems just by facilitating to that request. If you take our approach, you would have a gateway for your developers and move all of that function into its own environment, and that way away from your production network. So it just changes. It's a different way of thinking. That's what we're advocating.
Well, it's obviously that flexibility in what you want to do. As you say, you build it to your specific requirements, not a box sitting in your data center or your on-prem, and you're stuck with it, right?
That's right. So the other notion, depending on how, like when you become familiar with cloud, the term elastic comes into it, and the elastic is an interesting concept for cloud because everything can be scaled up and scaled down. So if you take a server, for instance, you start small, you have a limited number of CPUs, memory, network bandwidth, but if you need more, you just shut it down, change its type and bring it up again. That applies to the gateway as well. So our gateway is elastic and can expand at a moment's notice, and that's something that a traditional hardware-based gateway cannot do and compete on. There is a lag.
Well, maybe this comes back to the contract with DTA and what that means. I'm assuming this isn't your first government contract, and this was without going back to the release, an Australian first as well. Maybe talk us to where you're at with sort of government and where government is in their migration to cloud.
Well, the government, like all enterprise, cyber threats are just getting worse. They're getting far more sophisticated, and the damage that they can do are just immeasurable. And that's why these types of scenarios are required urgently. The government's Consolidated Gateway program has been running for years. It was doing its job, but what's happening is, which I'm drawing from my own experience with my former government employment, your lead agency sets the policies for all of the subordinate agencies, and those subordinate agencies had no ability to change or customize what they required if there was a conflict with the overarching department's security requirements. And so that's what drove the ability for us to come up with a solution where a lead agency could provide these dedicated gateways to each of its subordinate agencies so they can provide flexibility around the security and the requirements of the individual agencies. The DTA is a very progressive agency. They're very modern in their thinking. They're completely, very much taken up Office 365, moved away from traditional like on-prem compute type services. So very exciting for us to be able to provide such a progressive organisation a progressive gateway.
And that Office 365 is one of your key ones. You've got about 7 different gateway sort of solutions that you can provide. Maybe just talk us through how you are structured as a business and how you deliver this, because I imagine. So maybe what's the company looking like? How many employees and what's your size and rate of growth? Because I imagine it's blue sky potential.
Well, the cloud, being in the cloud, our workloads are very different to a traditional provider because we don't need to visit any data centers. We don't need to order equipment and things like that. So again, we can do it all from our computers. So the physical labour very different. So we are based around is security analysts, and so we just have a lead security analyst to an account, and backed up by a team of others if required. There is huge growth in this area. There is actually a demand for professionals because it is a skill set that does take some time to develop and hone. Right. So I'm fortunate that we have been able to tap into mature-aged workforces, and the way we work, particularly part-time shifts and things like that, are very attractive. So we've been able to do very well that way, and it's working. Remote working is of course implicit to what we do.
You were probably doing it already, were you?
Yes, and that's I think that's just how the future is going for corporate workers. But the other thing that we as a company, we have strategic partnerships. So we're partnered with Vocus Communications. So we have resources from those companies if we need them. So that's how we meet our obligations.
Nice. And the company structure, you're a private company with a board. What's your sort of roadmap plan? I'm assuming you're a private company with a board.
We are a private company with a board, and yes, we're going wherever the road takes us.
That's a good roadmap. So obviously you feel that you can scale now. One of the questions you touched on in terms of your lead security analyst and the like, how are you finding the market? It sounds like you've had to adapt a little bit. You do find the skills challenge a reality?
We're fortunate. We're very connected with the people we worked with, and I think that's how the market works for my company anyway. Is that we can leverage off those relationships, and there's a lot of people who know other people. It's all down to if you create the right environment. If people like where they work, I don't think you've got a problem getting people to work with you, and that's the thing. People don't work for us, they work with us, and that's something that's important. So,
do you find that you can bring employees and train them up if there's a role there that they want to do?
Yes, we very much so. Well, so one of the things which is important to us is we want to stay Australian company, Australian owned, and we also want to develop Australian talent. And as I said, this is a huge growth area at the moment. I don't think that's really going to subside. I think it's only just going to get more intense. And yes, all levels. We want all levels to come through. So we would be mentoring as many people as we can.
Yep. The Irap assessment process is of interest, just generally, I think, for the wider market as well, from sort of the cybersecurity community, anyone running a business thinking about going through that. But I also look at it from potentially, becoming an Irap assessor and what's involved in that. How have you found? You've gone through the process twice now, and I think both times under the old regime or one under the sort of the new one. How have you found that process, and sort of either the impacts or benefits for the business, costs and those types of things? Any observations and comments?
Look, the Information Security Manual is an awesome document that prescribes security for anyone who wants to download it. You don't have to pay for it. Anyone can download that document and has a great guide as to how to secure their business and their systems, no matter who you are. The Irap assessment process for us, it's an important one because it is an independent audit of how we've met those controls. So we've proposed our controls. We have our documentation as per requirements. Your Irap assessors come in, and they are the ones that validate that this is what they've done. This is how they're meeting it, and that's why that program is so important. Otherwise, how would you know what you're getting? Would you just take my word for it? So that's where it becomes important. So I can't comment on the Irap assessors program. I know there's been changes, but I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry, I'm not focused on that.
No, it's more of just a pet interest of ours, and 6 Clicks we interviewed a couple of weeks ago have just gone through that process, and that opens them up to government. I think that's the key aspect for you, obviously, as a business. You've obviously seen government as a primary primary customer base, and based in Canberra.
Yep.
Is that the
Yep.
focus of the company at the moment?
Yes, the focus for us was government, because to establish that we were a bona fide government-rated gateway, you can only really do that and prove that if you've got a government client. So,
Yeah.
But the thing about the Cynterra concept and architecture is that we have made now the ability for our Irap assessed gateways to be available to commercial and private entities. We don't think that was that accessible to them before. So that's where we think that we have a lot of opportunities. But at the same time, there's a huge education on what it means to have an Irap assessment and what you're getting.
And they obviously walk through, because there is the Cynterra environment overview on your website, and take it that the Cynterra advanced analytical platform, the CARP, and that sort of structure or that architecture applies to all of the gateways, and then you apply it in the different environments that they need to be operating. Hence, you've got your Office 365 gateway, but that the structure of the environment is the same as per on your website diagram?
Yeah, so every environment that we provide, there is a base gateway at the heart of it. Now, whether it's a larger one or a smaller one, there might be some changes in the processing capabilities, but all of the components and the capabilities and the level of security is the same. Talking about Office 365, there is no gateway for Office 365 per se, because Office 365 is a public offering. But what you can do is that you can configure Office 365 to be exclusively access and exclusively use a gateway for its communication. And that's where the gateway adds value to that type of situation. So in the case of something like Teams or an Office 365 environment, you can control what networks can attach and can access a tenancy in Microsoft using Office 365. On the other side, we've developed a unique platform that allows Office 365 email to meet government standards by being able to mark it and meet the correct marking requirements for the email, and ensure that it like everything else, that it's ISM compliant. So that's all based around the same gateway architecture that every product that we offer is.
And you just do I call it the SIG, or the Secure Internet Gateway. Do you have partners or industry alliances that you do in terms of, say, the threat intel, the forensics and the like that might be involved? Where do you start and finish? Is it purely just on the SIG?
No, we are looking to evolve our products in every which way they can. We want to facilitate whatever environment people want. The gateways were designed so that we could ingest any threat intel, and we can incorporate that into that single portal, for example. So any new technology that comes out, we will always be looking to integrate it and provide it as an add-on to our customers to enhance their experiences.
So it does sound like you're customer focused. Basically, you partner with the customer. You focus on the security internet gateway, but then you can build whatever they want out of that, right? You have a services platform.
That's exactly how we operate. We are there to meet the customer's needs, and what we've found, smaller customers don't have the resources or the IT experience on the same level as what a larger organisation may have, and that's where we can come in and help fill those gaps. And so we can help anyone integrate a cloud environment into their existing platforms, and what it does, it just creates more options for a customer. They've got more options they had before they started.
And it obviously creates more options for you as a business on getting the insight into what the customer needs.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, thank you so much. Cynterra, does that have any particular meaning?
No, we just got together and, there's an interesting process trying to come up what we should call ourselves. And, no.
Yeah,
Nothing special. It just had the catch that we all agreed was a good one. So
fair enough. Well, look, there's no comments. I think our our stream to LinkedIn actually worked today, so that's good. If you happen to be listening, it didn't work the other day. There's been a couple of issues, but we'll put this out as a podcast as well, Drago, in terms of the Cybersecurity Weekly podcast. And otherwise, for the audience listening, it's Cynterra.net. And you can check that out, and they've got a range of different services there. And since Cynterra has just won a major contract with the Digital Transformation Agency?
Yes,
that's right. The DTA, which is part of the federal government, and that's also on the Australian Cybersecurity magazine today. So, Drago, thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. You've given us a good half an hour of your time, and I'll let you go. Now, I'm going to give you your name one more shot as I close off. Drago, let me just say it slowly, Gvozdanovic.
That's better. Yep.
Without an accent.
Pass. It's a pass.
Okay, done. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Drago. I'll let you go. The CEO of Cynterra there in Canberra. Thank you very much for joining us on our Tech and Sec Weekly.
Thanks very much. See ya.
Good, mate. Cheers, bye. Okay, very good. And like I said, we'll put that out as a podcast. And no chats today, no comments. So thank you very much for everyone who's actually tuned in. As I do, just to close off our report of the day, Mimecast came out with their State of Email Security report yesterday. And an interesting takeaway, 3 times since the onset of the pandemic, employees are clicking on 3 times as many malicious emails as they had before. That graph pretty much says it all. If I just highlight that. And that is now available on the marketplace as well. But you can see a massive uptake since March 2020 there in terms of the average number of unsafe clicks per user. And as it happens, there's been, in Queensland hospitals have been attacked with a ransomware attack on Sunday. And again, the latest update available on that is on the Australian Cyber Security magazine. So look, on that note, I'm going to leave it with you. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We will be back on Friday morning. I've got Lani Rafferty, the Regional Director with Clarity. We'll look at the IoT security vulnerabilities and some of their most recent exploits. And we're going to be joined by Jude McCulloch, Emeritus Professor of Criminology with the Faculty of Arts at Monash University. And we'll have a chat about that Chauvin trial and the outcomes and impacts for police. So thank you very much. My name's Chris Cubbage. I'm the Executive Editor with My Security TV. We'll be back on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day.